Well, hi there, this is Nathan Ingram, and in this video I'm going to show you how to supercharge your website using the power of LoopBuddy plus a custom post type. We're going to see how to easily create custom content in WordPress that was previously only possible with something complicated like pods. What we're going to do is to replicate the functionality of this recommended reading list that we designed for one of our clients. Now, this particular client has a reading list of about 200 books, and he wanted to be able to display them in an attractive way, provide a little more information about each book, as well as provide a link so that a visitor could purchase that book on Amazon.com using the client's affiliate ID. So here we have a list of books that are arranged alphabetically. Now, each of these books are actually a post within a custom post type we created called Books. Clicking on one of these books brings you to a detail page about the book that again shows the cover, the title of the book, the author, a link to the Amazon affiliate site, a description of the book, and then a link to go back to the previous page. All of this was created using LoopBuddy and a custom post type. Now, there's three things you're going to need in order to do what we're going to do in this video. The first is a tool to generate a custom post type. I'll be using Custom Press from WPMU. There are many other custom post type generators. This is the one that I prefer, but any will work. The second thing we're going to need is LoopBuddy, which is available from Plugin Buddy. The third thing we'll need is a theme for WordPress that is compatible with LoopBuddy, and we're going to choose the iThemes Builder theme, which I consider to be the most powerful and flexible theme for WordPress that's available today. Now, the new Headway 3.0 also supports LoopBuddy, so if you use Headway, you'll also be able to replicate this reading list. Now, as an overview of what we're going to do in this video, first we're going to set up the custom post type using the Custom Press from WPMU. Second, we'll be setting up our LoopBuddy. And third of all, we're going to create a page to display the information, and finally putting some styling on that page so that everything looks nice. So let's start off by beginning with Custom Press and setting up our custom post type. First, we'll name the custom post type. In our case, it will be Books. Underneath the name, there's a list of things that this particular custom post type can support. The first is a title, and we're going to use the post title as the title of our book. The second is the editor. The editor is the visual editor that we're all familiar with in WordPress, in which you type the information for pages and posts. It has the nice toolbar on top with the bold and italic buttons. I'm actually going to turn this off for the simple reason that I don't want the client to be able to put formatting on the description of the book. I want to keep everything looking nice and consistent. You can turn it on if you wish, but I prefer to leave it off so that everything retains a nice, consistent look. Now, we are going to also enable the post thumbnail. We're going to allow custom fields to enter our author name and description as well as the purchase link. And finally, we're going to go ahead and enable comments. Now, currently on our recommended reading list, our books do not have comments, but in the future we're going to allow the visitors to our site to interact with each post and make their own suggestions and reviews about that particular book. Now, moving on down the list, we're going to change the labels for the custom post type. This is what is going to display whenever something about this custom post type is accessed. First of all, we're going to call it Books, again, is the name of the custom post type. The singular name will be Book. When we want to add a new book, we want to say Add New Book. And again, Edit a Book, New Book, View Book, Search Books, No Books Found, No Books Found in the Trash. We'll leave this parent item blank because there are no parent items for our books. Here in the description, we'll simply type recommended reading list. The next thing in our list here is the menu position. Now, within the WordPress dashboard, each item in the menu has a numerical value. So depending on which numerical value you assign to this custom post type will determine where in this list vertically that custom post type appears. We're going to leave the default as 50, which means it will appear below pages but above the first separator. Now the next thing in the list is a nice touch. It's a menu icon. If you leave the menu icon blank, a custom post type by default is going to keep the pushpin icon that's associated with posts. I like to have a specific icon for a custom post type just to give it a little extra touch for the client. Now, on my website at nathaningram.com, I have a post called Non-Cheesy WordPress Custom Post Type Icons. And at the very bottom of this post, there's a link to download a zip file with 3,000 custom post type icons. And over here is an example of some that you'll find. This is an actual screenshot from one of our client sites where we've set up 2 custom post types for news items and then for events. And each of those you'll see has a specific custom post type icon, a newspaper for a news item, and a calendar for events. You'll find 3,000 of these custom icons, so surely you'll find one that'll work for you. Now what I've done is I have exploded that zip file in a directory on my website, my development website, which is accessible to the world, and I am simply going in this field to type the direct URL to the icon I'm looking for, in this case, book.png. So this is going to give us a nice book icon when we create our custom post type. Now there's a lot of additional information over here on the right column, but we don't need any of that. We've actually done all that we need now to create the custom post type. So we'll click Add Post Type. Now you'll notice that there's now the Books custom post type selected here, and over here in our WordPress menu is the nice new icon for books and the custom post type. Now it's time to add custom fields to our custom post type. It's using the custom fields that we'll be able to add the information about the author, the purchase link on Amazon, as well as the description of the book. So we're going to add a custom field. First we'll add our author field. This author field is going to be a text box, a single line text box just like this one here. Over here on the right, we're going to make sure that when we add this custom field of author, that it's available on our custom post type of books, and we'll add our field. We're going to add another field for our purchase link, again a text box, available within the custom post type of books, and add our field. Last of all, we want our book description. Now instead of being a text box, we want this to be a multi-line text box, such as the one here by field description. So we'll change our field type to multi-line text box. Select the Books custom post type and add our custom field. Now something I want to point out right here before we go any further is this field ID. This long string of text is what we'll use when we go to LoopBuddy to actually create the layout for our posts. So just make a mental note that the field ID is located under custom fields within the custom press content types. We'll come back and copy and paste each of these later. Now that we have our custom post type set up with the books as well as all the custom fields, it's time to add a new book. Now I'm going to cheat and go back here and just copy and paste from our existing recommended reading list. For our purposes, we're only going to use these first 4 books and show just one row of books in our demo. So I'll select this first book, 33 Questions About American History You're Not Supposed to Ask, and we'll copy first of all the title and paste that here in the title field. Next we want our author, and we're going to copy everything up to the beginning of the author's name. We'll supply by within LoopBuddy's layout, which we'll show you in just a moment. So we'll paste our author. Now we want our purchase link for Amazon.com. And finally, the description of this particular book. Last of all, we're going to add the featured image so that we have the book title. Now, I've already set these up in a directory on my desktop, so I'm going to simply choose 33 questions and set that as the featured image. Now we'll publish this book. All right. So now we have our first book added, and I'm going to pause the video while I go and add the next 3 books. Okay, we're back, and I've added all 4 of the books on the first line of that recommended reading list in the grid view. Now, if we were to go to our demo site and have a look, none of those books are going to display yet because there's nothing that's telling those custom post types to display. That's where LoopBuddy comes in. LoopBuddy is going to allow us to extract just the book's custom post types and arrange them in a certain way on a certain page. That's the power of LoopBuddy. It allows you to manipulate the WordPress loop to get just the content you want in just the right order, in just the right place. So let's begin setting up LoopBuddy. Now LoopBuddy has two different parts that we're going to need to set up. First is the query editor. The query editor is what we use to set up the query to the database to find out which posts that we want. Query simply means I'm just asking the database to do something. We're going to tell the database to give us just the posts that are within the book's custom post types. So let's add a new query and we'll call it books. And we'll add that query. Then edit the query. Now here you'll see a list of options to specify which posts you want to extract. First we want to choose the books post type. Uncheck posts and select books. This way only items within the books custom post type that we just created with Custom Press are going to appear when we're using the query for books. We want to order our posts by the title, the book title. And we want to change their order from low to high, or A to Z. We want to change the number of posts that we're going to display at a given time to 100. We're going to enable paging so that if there are more than 100 posts, we'll have a next page link at the bottom. We're going to enable comments, and we're going to leave the default query set to no. So again, what we've done here is we have created a query, a simple request to the WordPress database that says, I want all the posts that are within the book's custom post types. I want you to return 100 of them. If there are more than 100, give me more pages. And when these books are displayed, I want you to display them by title, arranged alphabetically from A to Z. And I only want you to show the posts that are published. I don't want any that are under review or that are drafts. So this query is going to give us exactly what we want. So we'll scroll to the bottom and save our query. Okay, now that we've created our query called books, it's time to tell WordPress how we want to display these books that we're retrieving from our list of books. So let's go back to our recommended reading list. We're actually going to create two separate layouts. The first is this grid layout that we have at the beginning of our recommended reading list. Then we're going to need the detail page for each book and the layout that controls how this information is going to appear. Both of those are created using the LoopBuddy layout editor. So we're going to create a new LoopBuddy layout. We're going to call this Book Grid for our first grid page for our recommended reading list. So we'll edit that layout. Now, a brief overview of this page. This is our work area where we can drop these items from the right-hand side, and whatever is shown here in our work area is what is going to display on the page. Just for our purposes, I'm going to remove everything that's there, so we're starting with a blank slate. So we're trying to create the recommended reading list grid view, and all that we see here is the post thumbnail and the title of the post. So let's go over here to our LoopBuddy layout editor, and we're going to grab the post thumbnail and drop it, and we're going to grab title and drop it. Now we need to change some of the settings on each of these to get it to display exactly how we want. Now, first we have our HTML wrapper. This is how it describes how this item is going to be addressed in our HTML or our CSS. Now, I like to have a lot of control with my CSS, so I like to put divs and classes on just about everything. So in this post thumbnail, the image for the book cover, I'm going to wrap it with a div. We're going to call that div Books Grid Image. we're going to have the link for this image to the post permalink. That way, whenever this image is clicked, it goes to the permalink or the individual post for that particular book. There is no custom URL, but we're going to have our image size set to custom. And we want our images to be 100 pixels wide, 150 pixels tall. There's nothing that we want before or after this particular item, so we're going to save our settings. Now our post thumbnail is ready. Let's do the same thing for our title. Again, I want to take it off of H2 for the wrapper and call it a div. And we're going to change this div to the custom class Books Grid Title so that we can specify exactly how we want that to look. Now I'm going to turn off the permalink here because I don't want the title text clickable. I just want the image for the book clickable. And we'll save our settings. Now, in order to get our books to display in a nice grid, we need to have a wrapper that goes all the way around the book and the title. In order to put a div around this entire item, we're going to do that using a wrapper tag. So we'll have a start wrapper before the post thumbnail and an end wrapper after the post thumbnail. Edit the settings, change to a div, and we're going to call this div Books Grid. And make sure our end wrapper is set to div so that div will close. So what we've created is a div that wraps the custom post thumbnail as well as the title for our book. That's going to create exactly what we see here on this screen. The book image, the book title, everything wrapped with a div and separate so they'll stack one after another very nicely. So when we're finished here, we'll save our settings. And now we're ready to add another layout for our book detail page. So let's get one of these on the screen. And what we're going to have here is our book image, the title for the post, the author. We're going to need to add the word by because you may remember the author in the post is simply the author's name. Then we'll have our purchase link, the book description, and then we'll have our link here at the bottom that allows us to go back. All that will be done as we create a new layout in LoopBuddy that's called Book Detail. And we'll add that group. Editing this layout brings us back to our layout editor. So we'll remove again each of these existing items from our workspace and we'll start adding our own items. The first thing we need is the post thumbnail, the image of the book that was there on the left. We're going to edit the settings. Again, wrapping this in a div so we can control how it is displayed. And we'll give this the custom class Books Detail Image. We want to turn off the link, make sure that that image doesn't link to anything. We're going to change our image size to post thumbnail, set our width again, 100 to 150, and nothing before or after this particular item, and we'll save the settings. Now beside the image for the post thumbnail, we want to drop our book title. And again, we'll edit the settings here, wrapping it in a div, giving it the class Books Detail Title. And again, you can call this whatever you want. I like to use very descriptive CSS names so that as I'm looking at my CSS later and will have forgotten what I did, this is a little more descriptive that tells me that it's a book and it's in the detail layout and it's referencing the title itself. We want to make sure our permalink is set to none so that nothing happens when I click that title, and we'll save the settings. Now on the next line, after we have our post thumbnail and our title, we have to put the author of the book. Now there is a link over here for author, but this is the post author, which in this case would be the administrator of WordPress. That's not what we want. We want the author's name that was a custom field within the custom post type. So we're going to go over here and grab the custom field item and drop it here and edit the settings. Again, wrapping it in a div with the custom class name Books Detail Author. Now, in order to tell LoopBuddy which custom field we want to display, it's going to require the meta key. Now, I showed you a moment ago how we would go into our custom press and find that meta key from the list of custom fields. So here beside author, under the field ID, we want this whole long string of text. We're going to copy that, go back to our layout editor, and we're going to drop that meta key here in this area. Now I lost my div information, so let me put that back in. Books, detail, author. Now you may remember that the author name, we need to put the word by in front of the author name, which is in the database. And we do that here with the before item block. We'll simply type by and space. That way, when this is rendered by LoopBuddy, it's going to say by, space, and then whatever is in this meta key. So by, a space, and the author name. And we'll save the settings. The next thing on our detail page is the link to our Amazon affiliate site. Now this gets a little bit more involved because we have to make our link clickable. But we'll start first of all by simply adding the custom field for the link that we set up in Custom Press. Now in this area, on this line, we want to make sure that no HTML wrapper is selected. That's very important. We'll go to Content Types and copy the link, the field ID for our purchase link. Paste that in the meta key. No other information here. Be sure that HTML wrapper is set to none. Save the settings. Now, if we were to view this post right now, all we would see is the long HTTP Amazon affiliate link. It would not be clickable because all we've told LoopBuddy to do is display whatever data is there in this custom field, which is just the link itself. It is not clickable. So we have to add something to make this clickable. What we want to see in the end is something that looks like this. We want to have it wrapped in a div, but right here we want to have our Amazon link, which is what's in the database as the custom field, but we need to wrap it with this text in order to make it clickable. Just some simple HTML that says wrap it in a div class, put an ahref with the link. When it's clicked, make the target blank so it opens a new tab. And I want to display not this whole long link, but I want to display the text. Click here for purchase information, and that's what I want to be clickable. And we'll end the link and end the div. Now, in our database is just this text right here, just the link itself. So we have to add a couple of text items on either side of this link to fill in the text that we need. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to add text items on either side of this custom field. Now we're going to copy the first bit of information here and paste it in the text area. Make sure HTML wrapper is off and save settings. Then we're going to copy the second bit of text, drop it in this second text item, same place, HTML wrapper off. If those HTML wrappers are on any of these three items, your link will not work and it'll break. We'll save our settings. Now we have, when LoopBuddy renders, it's going to render exactly what we want. The first text item does this, then we'll have the link for our Amazon affiliate, and then finally closing out to make everything work correctly. Finally, we need the custom field for the description of our book. We'll go back to our content types, copy our field ID, and paste it. Nothing before or after. We want to make sure this is wrapped in a div that is called books, detail, description. And we'll save our settings. Now the only thing that's left for us to do at this point is to add the backlink that takes us back to our list of books. We're going to do that here in the post loop text HTML box. What this box does is render some text or HTML after every book detail item. So we're going to do this with just some simple HTML. First of all, it's going to be wrapped in a div that's going to give us the nice little box styling, and we're going to put the old-fashioned JavaScript go back a page link. This says to your browser, go back one page. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in the post loop HTML area. Now, whenever a book detail item renders, it's going to place this HTML after the book information, and we'll save the settings. Now that we've set up the layout for our grid of books as well as each book detail, it's time to create a page to display our books on. So we're going to go over here to Pages and add a new page. We'll call it Books. And in iThemes Builder, here in the right-hand column, there is a LoopBuddy area. So on this particular page, we're going to enable LoopBuddy. Now we choose what query we want to display on this page. In our case, we want to display the books query that we created earlier. Then we have the layout. Which layout do I want to display on this page? Well, I want the book grid, because on this books page, we want to show our whole grid of books. So what we've done is told this particular page to pull information from the database from our books query, which, as you may remember, is going to bring in all the books from our custom post type of books, arranged alphabetically, 100 of them, and if there's more than 100, we're going to create a next page. And they're going to be laid out in this nice books grid layout that we created just a moment ago using the LoopBuddy layout editor. We're going to publish this page. And there's only one more thing we have to do in the LoopBuddy settings to make this work. And that is going down here to Post Types. We want to change our default books layout to book detail. This way, whenever a book is clicked from within our list of books in the grid, it's going to go to the book detail page. Finally, we simply need to add some styling to our books. Otherwise, when we go to view our page of books, it's not going to look right. They're going to be styled straight down the page. We want to get them in a nice grid. So in order to do that, we come over here to the Builder Style Manager. We're going to create a style, call this default. We want it to be a global style. And I'm going to come over here and copy and paste some CSS that I've already developed to make the books look the way I want them to look. And I'll supply this text for you on the post on my web page. We'll paste our custom CSS here, and we'll save the style. Now when we look at our books, they should be arranged exactly how we want them. So what we're looking at here is the books page that is told to use the books query that we created in LoopBuddy that extracts only posts within the books custom post type. They're laid out in the book grid layout, which only has the post thumbnail and the post title. Clicking one of these book posts is going to take us to the book detail page, which has all of the information that we've created, even our nice little backlink, and the Amazon purchase link, which takes us right to Amazon in a new tab, to the site owner's affiliate page. Well, that's how you create incredibly detailed content using LoopBuddy and a custom post type. Now imagine what you could do with this. You could create any kind of directory or catalog that you could imagine. You could use this to create a people directory or a product directory or business listings or event listings. And since it's a custom post type, you can even allow public posting or posting from logged in users using a gravity form. The possibilities are endless. And again, something like this previously was only possible using something complicated like pods. But LoopBuddy and a custom post type puts the power of custom content in the hands of even the average web developer. Again, to do this you need LoopBuddy from iThemes, as well as a custom post type generator and iThemes Builder. Well, thanks for watching this video, and I do hope that it's been helpful to you. Have a great day.